Welcome to the Explainer. So, we're tackling something today that literally impacts every single one of us at some point. I mean, we treat routine blood work like it's this unquestionable source of truth, don't we? But what if I told you that one single, completely overlooked variable could dramatically distort those numbers? Let's dive right in and uncover the hidden factor that might be manipulating your medical charts.
It's a pretty bold question, right? Are your lab results actually lying to you? Most of us totally obsess over the numbers, the ratios, and those little reference ranges on our reports. We look at them as a flawless, perfect snapshot of what's happening inside our bodies. But it turns out those exact numbers might actually be giving you a completely false picture of your health.
Here's the wild part. Your labs may reflect your hydration status as much as your underlying health. This is absolutely crucial to understand. Something as simple as being mildly dehydrated alters your numbers before that blood sample even reaches the lab tech's hands. It's an incredible concept, and honestly, it happens all the time.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover, are your labs lying? The science of hemoconcentration, the specific markers that get skewed, the sneaky causes of dehydration, a really surprising plant-based connection, and exactly how you should prepare for your next test.
All right, part one. Are your labs lying?
Listen, this isn't some fringe internet theory. It's basic, fundamental physiology. When you lack fluid, the concentration of substances in your blood temporarily changes. Your whole baseline shifts. It's just the mechanical reality of how our bodies operate when water levels drop.
So let's get into the actual science of hemoconcentration.
Which brings us to a term you definitely need to know, hemoconcentration. It sounds complex, but just think of it like boiling down a pot of soup on the stove. Your blood is made of plasma, right? And that's mostly water, alongside cells, proteins, and electrolytes. Well, when your body loses water, that plasma volume drops, and just like that pot of soup, when there's less liquid, the remaining ingredients become way more concentrated.
It boils down to a super simple formula. Less plasma volume simply means a higher concentration of blood markers. It's a direct cause and effect relationship. If your fluid volume shrinks, but your cells and dissolved substances stay pretty much constant, your lab values are going to artificially shoot up. They look elevated not because you have more of a substance in your body, but just because you have less water diluting it. Crazy, right?
Moving on to Section 3, the markers skewed by dehydration.
So what does this look like on your actual test results? Well, if your hematocrit, that's the percentage of your red blood cells, looks high, it might just be dehydration. And BUN and creatinine, these are the big ones. They measure kidney function. When you're low on water, your kidneys hold onto it, and that temporarily concentrates waste products right in your bloodstream. So you might see a high creatinine number and totally panic about your kidneys failing, when in reality, your water levels were just low. We see the exact same thing with albumin, a blood protein, and sodium, where a lack of water completely shifts your delicate fluid balance.
Okay, Section 4, the sneaky causes of dehydration. Now, I know exactly what you're probably thinking. You're like, but I wasn't even thirsty. How could I be dehydrated? Well, we really need to bust this myth that dehydration only happens when you're stuck in the desert or recovering from the flu. Mild dehydration is incredibly common, and it loves to sneak up on you right before a routine lab draw.
Let's look at the usual suspects here. Did you do an aggressive workout the night before? That's a lot of fluid loss to sweat. Or what about fasting? So many of us hear fasting blood work and mistakenly think that means no food and no water. Going 12 hours with no liquids is a massive trigger for hemoconcentration. Add in things like drinking way too much coffee, which is a mild diuretic, hitting the sauna, fighting off a tiny cold, or even starting a low-carb diet where your body drops water weight super fast. All of these things quietly drain your plasma volume.
Which brings us to Section 5, the plant-based connection.
If you're eating a plant-based or high-fiber diet, you really need to hear this. High-fiber diets, loaded with beans, oats, and veggies, require a ton of fluid for digestion. Think of fiber acting exactly like a giant sponge in your gut. Because it soaks up so much water to comfortably digest, folks eating these super healthy plant-based diets might unintentionally drift right into chronic, mild dehydration without having a clue.
And man, this creates a massive compounding effect. Let's say you decide to adopt a healthier lifestyle, right? You bump up your fiber, which absorbs water. You also start exercising more, which equals more sweat. Maybe you're even dropping some quick water weight as your glycogen stores empty out. When you combine those three factors, your body's demand for hydration absolutely skyrockets, leaving your lab results wide open to hemoconcentration.
All right, finally, Section 6, how to prepare.
So how do we actually fix this? Here are the steps.
First off, just maintain your normal, consistent hydration in the 24 hours leading up to your test. Second, and this is huge, drink water while you're fasting. Unless your doctor explicitly tells you not to, normal water intake is perfectly fine and encouraged. Third, maybe skip the intense gym session for 12 to 24 hours beforehand. Fourth, don't overdo it. Avoid extreme water loading. Chugging a gallon of water right before you walk into the clinic will just artificially dilute your results the other way. And finally, keep your daily routine consistent. We aren't trying to hack the labs here. The goal is to give your doctors steady, baseline conditions so they can track real, meaningful trends over time.
I want to leave you with this really powerful thought. Your blood work should reflect your body, not your temporary fluid status. Context is absolutely everything. So the next time you're scheduling a blood draw, I want you to remember the power of hemoconcentration. Are you actually setting your labs up for success, or are you letting a temporary lack of water tell a completely false story about your health? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I really can't wait to dive into our next topic with you.